Right now, the National Weather Desk, here comes Philippe. New England prepares for a weekend of heavy rain and strong winds. El Nino and snow? What kind of winter can we expect this year?
We could see lower snow totals in the upper Midwest and the Northeast.
Monarch migration. A closer look at the butterfly's annual pilgrimage to warmer climates.
The monarch's migratory pattern is the most highly evolved of its kind.
Fall foliage. Some of the best colors in the country could be found right where you live.
And the fall foliage, it is starting to peak in parts of the nation.
And we're celebrating Fat Bear Week. Are you ready to vote for your favorite before they head into hibernation?
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Tropical Storm Philippe is battering Bermuda this morning with heavy rain and sustained winds of up to 50 miles per hour. 3 to 5 inches of rain could fall. By this time on Sunday, the storm will be hammering New England. Over the next 48 hours, Philippe will do two things here. It will head north and it will downgrade to a post-tropical cyclone as it barrels into northern New England. The impact will be similar to a nor'easter as the storm meets up with a cold front from Canada. Strong winds and heavy rain and flash flooding are expected from Maine to eastern New York. As for that cold front, it will bring dramatic changes across much of the country. Temperatures could drop 30 degrees or more. Now, that's a welcome relief from the heat in the south, but it could also mean freezing warnings in portions of the plains. And some good news for folks in New Orleans. Officials now say a saltwater wedge moving up the Mississippi River is moving much slower than expected. The Army Corps of Engineers says the saltwater will now reach New Orleans in late November, an improvement over the initial estimate of late October. Drought along the Mississippi River basin led to a decrease of water output, allowing salt water from the Gulf of Mexico to creep north. Officials say one major reason for the slowdown, an updated forecast showing more rainfall for October. El Nino is expected to strengthen then through the winter. Meteorologist Christina Ernie looks at how that could impact snow and moisture this winter season.
An El Nino weather pattern has developed and is strengthening, and this will affect our 2023-2024 winter season. All signs are pointing to an El Nino year, which is a seasonal reversal of trade winds, bringing warmer sea surface temperatures to the eastern Pacific. And we're actually already seeing that happening with above average temperatures now off the coast of South America. This in turn generally produces wetter conditions in the southern half of the U.S., generally drier weather in the central U.S. So why is it so important to talk about El Nino? Well, it produces more extremes in our weather patterns. And with a higher jet stream over the northern U.S. and warmer temperatures as a result, we could see lower snow totals in the upper Midwest and the Northeast, which is a trend we've actually been tracking over the past El Nino winters. Meanwhile, previous El Nino winters have produced above average snowfall by several inches from the desert Southwest and through the deep South and also into portions of the Southeast. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Christina Ernie.
Ski resorts across the West are keeping a close eye on that El Nino pattern. They're hoping it leads to another great year on the slopes. Elizabeth Mitchell is in the Lake Tahoe region this morning.
According to the National Weather Service, our region had the second wettest water year in 2022. The water year is how meteorologists and forecasters measure snowpack and precipitation. It ranges from October 1st through September 30th, so it just ended a couple days ago, and this was a close second to our wettest water year, which was back in 2016 to 2017. At the Reno Tahoe Airport, we did break the record for the most days of precipitation ever recorded, which was 87 days. This season is predicted to be a moderate to strong El Nino year, but that doesn't exactly mean another record winter like last year.
We just know a lot of people are asking us about big winters, and that often happens when you have a strong El Nino. And we don't have that forecast skill. There's not a great relationship here. I can show you a scatter plot of what the winters look like in El Nino years, and pretty much anything can happen.
For the skiers and snowboarders in our area, it looks like we're going to have to wait and see what the winter season is going to bring for our mountains. In Reno, Elizabeth Mitchell.
When you think of trees, shade may come to mind from this during the summer, but it turns out trees are one of the most important resources to help control pollution for inland waters like the Chesapeake Bay watershed. But as John Conway explains, trees there are becoming an increasingly rare resource.
Before water gets to the bay, it has to travel through lots of waterways lined with trees. These trees are a first line of defense against pollution in the bay.
They filter out pollution, they provide habitat, they shade the water in smaller streams, which makes the habitat a lot better for fish.
In fact, much of the Chesapeake's Bay pollution comes from a surprising source.
You know, a lot of people don't realize close to a third of the bay's major pollutant comes from dirty air.
And trees can filter out up to 90% of that pollution. But in recent years, trees have been disappearing. According to the Chesapeake Tree Canopy Network, Maryland's eastern shore lost more than 2 square miles of forested space between 2014 and 2018. Progress is being made to reverse the trend, though, and it has been getting results.
Designing the developments so that there's space for trees to mature and rooting space so that they can be healthy over time. And the lower eastern shore, it's actually one of the spots in the state of Maryland where tree cover has been increasing.
In Wicomico County alone, existing tree cover removes more than 11 million pounds of air pollutants and sequesters 158,000 tons of carbon per year, but more still needs to be done.
You just can't do any better for the bay, for water quality, for habitat than to plant lots of trees.
Well, trees in the Chesapeake Bay region have not started showing their best colors yet, but they have in New England and other parts of the country. Meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell has a look at where the colors are really starting to shine.
Well, hi there, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. We're heading into a beautiful mid-October stretch, and the fall foliage, it is starting to peak in parts of the nation. First stop, let's check out the PNW, where we've got some glorious shades of russets and goldenrod showing up over the Cascades. In fact, in the higher terrain, we're already past peak there, but as we head into this October weekend, you're going to find all kinds of beautiful fall hues here surrounding Puget Sound. How about up over the Rockies? Getting chilly up there, especially at night near Salt Lake City and Denver. Gorgeous fall color, and that follows you all the way on up the Continental Divide and into western Montana's Rockies and Glacier National Park. The color really not peaking yet, so you still have a lot of time through the midsection of the country. But if you head on up toward the Canadian border, upstate Wisconsin and Minnesota, definitely starting to see some beautiful reds and oranges there around Rhinelander and back toward International Falls. And of course, most famous of all for the deciduous color here, changing in the month of October, running a little bit late, frankly, this year, which buys you a little bit more time outside of Boston and parts of New Jersey, starting to see that peak fall color in upstate portions of Maine, so northern New England, and all the way back into upstate New York as well. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell.
Well, a week from tomorrow, much of the U.S. will be treated to an annular solar eclipse. Meteorologist Lindsay Storrs posted on Instagram about where you can get the best views.
An annular solar eclipse will occur on Saturday, October 14th, and it's going to move across part of the U.S., including part of Utah. So here's the where and when as far as viewing the Ring of Fire. The solar eclipse will reach the west coast of Oregon at 9:15 a.m. Pacific time. Then it moves into Nevada about 9:20. Elko, Ely, and Eureka will be able to view it from 9:23 to 9:25. Then it moves into Utah to bring the eclipse to places like Delta, Beaver, Richfield, Hanksville, Monticello, and Blanding. They'll all see it around 10:30 Mountain Time. Santa Fe and Albuquerque are up next for the celestial sight at 10:37. It'll move into West Texas at 11:43 Central Time, where Midland, Odessa, and San Angelo will get a chance to see it. It then reaches San Antonio about 11:52 and meets up with Corpus Christi at 11:56 before moving out into the Gulf of Mexico. If you're in the path of the eclipse and want to view it, make sure you get some of those solar eclipse glasses so that you don't damage your eyes while viewing it.
And you may not know this, but we're in the middle of Fat Bear Week. It's an annual celebration of Alaska's bear population. Summer and early fall is when bears are fattening up for winter, eating a year's worth of food in 6 months. For some, that's 40 salmon a day or 100,000 calories. For the past 10 years, Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska has asked you to vote for the bear you think should move on to the tournament-style competition, and the winner will be crowned next week. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out how drought is impacting cattle farmers in Nebraska, and we'll learn all about the monarch butterfly's southern migration.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. Most areas in the Northeast are starting the day with some clouds and fog. Notice some rain working into western New York. Here we are early in the day today. As we go throughout the afternoon, we'll introduce more showers area-wide. This front's going to sharpen up tonight into Saturday morning. This takes us to about 7 a.m. here Saturday. Note the heavy rainfall through parts of New York all the way down through New Jersey. Also, the remnants of Philippe is working into northern New England. That will bring heavy rain through parts of northern New England Saturday night.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. A couple of spots, sprinkles and showers through the day on Friday as our next weather maker approaches, especially as we head into Friday night and Saturday morning. I think that's our best risk of rain that's going to be approaching, and eventually a cold front coming through. That's our latest weather maker. And beyond that, it is going to turn much cooler over the weekend for most of us. A big reality check Saturday and Sunday. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your forecast. The highs for the day. We're seeing 76 degrees in Nashville, Atlanta, 80 degrees, 84 Charleston, Raleigh about 81, 90 in Tampa, 89 West Palm, kind of hot in Florida. But it looks like we're seeing some clouds scattered across the area as we see a cold front continue to move across the area. A few spotty showers across Georgia and Mississippi, Alabama. Continue to track Philippe as it continues to move north, affecting parts of the New England region. We'll get clearing skies through the weekend.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Oh my God, that's not a baby.
Orcas put on a show near Kingston, Washington, near Puget Sound. Orcas are found in every ocean. The Marine Mammal Commission says those around Washington, Oregon, and British Columbia are known as southern resident killer whales. 2 other resident groups are also tracked in the waters of the eastern North Pacific.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
In Nebraska, weather has been ideal for field work, but not so great for crops and cattle, and is forcing cattle producers in the state to make some really tough decisions. Steve White has more.
Yep. Dad's been in the business for 55 years and all my life.
Ever since the floods of 2019, Ryan Sondrup says good rain showers have been few and far between.
But yeah, it's been real tough.
He took a break to attend Husker Harvest Days recently, where he told us soybeans were especially bad.
And after that second round of heat, it just kind of, it literally dried up overnight. You know, everything shriveled up, and just the next morning it was browns.
Sondrup had his cattle DNA tested for feed efficiency and says you can see what genetics are working when drought leaves pastures in bad shape.
We had caught an inch rain before the first round of heat, and man, that heat come in there and it just turned it brown overnight.
Cow-calf producers are the backbone of the industry in Nebraska, and the impact can be far-reaching.
A drought doesn't just affect the summer, it's definitely going to affect calving next year too, so we want to make sure that these girls are in adequate body condition score.
Veterinarians say there's no sense putting money into feeding a cow that won't deliver a calf.
But especially during a drought year, because we want to make sure that we know that that cow is bred. If we're going to be feeding her some stretched forages, if we don't have a lot that's there, we want to make sure that she's going to be one that's going to be able to make us a calf next year, so that we're utilizing the limited amount of forages correctly.
While much of western and southwest Nebraska has received timely rains, others remain in the most extreme drought category, seeing 100-degree temps, cooked crops, and grass alike.
And so we're praying for rain, and we'll get it someday. So.
And while the heat might be bad for cows, one type of butterfly chases the heat. Each fall, monarch butterflies start migrating south, and seeing them travel from their summer breeding ground can be a fascinating sight. Farrah Walton is learning more about their migration process.
It's that time of the year where the monarch butterflies make their way from the northern U.S. and Canada all the way down to Mexico, many stopping for a break right here in Abilene.
It's just the perfect resting spot for them. We offer up lots of native plant species that they can drink nectar from and get a little boost to make it all the way to Mexico.
Michaela Hiles, a zookeeper at the Abilene Zoo, says some monarchs fly about 2,800 miles to their destination, traveling up to 180 miles a day. As the monarchs migrate south for the winter, they often take advantage of beautiful flower beds just like this one here at the Abilene Zoo.
Right beside me, this is lantana. This red bushy plant, that's going to be our Turk's cap.
The World Wildlife Fund says the monarch's migratory pattern is the most highly evolved of its kind. Unfortunately, it also says the monarch butterfly population has been steadily declining over the last 2 decades.
They are doing counts every year down in Mexico to see how many monarchs make it down there, because in the past it has been millions of butterflies. The biggest threats to them are going to be the use of herbicides and pesticides, as well as land development. So with land development, they lose a lot of these native plants that would occur naturally, and so they don't have those resting spots like they used to.
And recently, white spiders were falling from the sky over California. Brisa Colon looked into what happened.
Long, spiderweb-looking strands, many in the shape of upside-down balloons, hundreds seen falling from the sky over the Central Coast Wednesday.
I've never seen anything like this.
A spooky sight, seemingly appropriate for the start of October. But are spiders really falling from the sky?
Kind of is spiders falling out of the sky. What it is they're these little spiderlings, baby spiders, and when the conditions are right, they will release a bunch of silk and they will fly off to new locations.
Kirsten Pearsons, an entomologist farm advisor for Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito counties, says this is called ballooning, common in the month of October all around the country.
Maybe this is why spiders are so popular in Halloween decorations.
Experts say the sudden heat could have been a possible trigger.
It's the heat and the late season heat that can, spike those webs coming off those trees, and depending on the winds, which are a little higher in the morning, it just started traveling through the air.
From Monterey to Santa Cruz to Hollister, these webs were visible. Sean in Live Oak collected some samples with his students to study.
Yeah, it's totally sticky. It balls up anytime you really touch it. If it gets near like a puddle or anything, it just almost disappears.
Experts say there is nothing to be scared of.
In terms of the spider's lifestyle, it's perfectly normal.
And deer hunting season is officially underway in Michigan. Meteorologist Heather Brickad tells us about this season and the current deer population.
Archery season isn't as busy as firearm deer season, but it officially kicked off last weekend. The season runs from October 1st through January 1st through most of the state.
We would expect more deer to be seen and more hunter participation to occur in that northern lower than as you get into the Upper Peninsula, and specifically the eastern Upper Peninsula. Deer numbers have been a little bit lower in recent years, and certainly the number of hunters participating in that area has remained on the lower side of normal.
Last season, Michigan Department of Natural Resources estimated between 350 and 400,000 deer were harvested. It's still required to report your deer harvest in Michigan.
Our law enforcement staff, I think, are still taking more of an education over enforcement approach because we realize that this is a big culture shift for a lot of Michigan deer hunters, and we're wanting to make sure that they understand, what the requirements are.
And you hear a lot of different terms to describe rain and its intensity. Meteorologist Emily Santum explains those terms to help you better understand the forecast at home.
There are different terms you may hear in regards to the rain. Isolated showers are when very small parts of the area could see rain, leaving a majority of the area dry. In other words, the forecasted area has a chance of 20% or less to see 1/10 of an inch. Scattered conditions mean that there will be 40 to 60% chance for locations seeing the same amount of rain. Widespread showers meaning there's an 80 to 100% chance for an area to receive rain, and it's very likely that you will see rain at some point in the day.
And did you know fog is vital to plants and animals? Theron Zahn explains.
It can take much of the day for the fog to burn off and reveal your sunny day. But did you know that fog is actually an important resource in parts of the world? For the redwood forest in California, the trees there get 30 to 40% of their moisture from fog and something called fog drip. Some insects get most of the moisture they need to survive from fog. And in some parts of the world, people put up things called fog nets to collect the moisture from fog and use it for drinking water. So enjoy the sunshine when it comes, but do know that fog plays an important role.
And before we take a short break, let's take in fall colors in Oregon.
Meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Definitely a lot cooler across the Midwest than what it has been lately. We do have some scattered showers across a lot of the Midwest as well today. Not widespread, but some intermittent light rain showers, and most of our highs are in the 50s and 60s. Still in the Ohio Valley, the 70s today, but you dip into the 50s and 60s tomorrow, just like the rest of us. As we continue on into the plains there, a lot of sunshine Saturday and even more sun Sunday for the plains.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're waking up really nice and cool all the way from Oklahoma to North Texas, back out to West Texas. Still a little warm and a little humid. Down toward the south, some leftover rain down into Brownsville. Otherwise, cool, dry air will filter in. Another surge of cold air is coming in. That's really going to take temperatures down. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that is a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there in TGIF, everybody. Friday morning, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Look at all of the October heat. This happens nearly every year out west. Big round of Santa Ana is blowing into San Diego, LA. Highs well into the 80s to the 90s there again today. 84 out of Portland. We're feeling the heat coming up the I-5 corridor towards Seattle with 76 as well, and 104 out of Phoenix. Big ridge of high pressure, definitely the weather maker, bearing down on the west coast with a lot of warmth here into the weekend. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for college and pro football games this weekend. Here's Katie Morgan with those forecasts.
In Columbia, Missouri, we've got the LSU Tigers taking on the Mizzou Tigers, and temperatures are looking pretty good. We'll be about 60 degrees and sunshine. Really, forecast looking pretty good for Dallas, Texas as well. We've got the Red River rivalry going on in Dallas, Oklahoma versus Texas. Low 70s with a few clouds. And over towards Ohio here, we've got Maryland taking on Ohio State. A couple showers can't be ruled out here with temperatures in the 50s. On to Sunday games of the NFL. The Cowboys at the 49ers in San Francisco. Always beautiful in California at 70 and sunny. We'll see in Pittsburgh, the Ravens taking on the Steelers. A couple showers possible here, and mid-50s with a few showers in Miami as the Giants take on the Dolphins. And I snuck in a London, England forecast for the Jaguars versus the Bills in London. Temperature a very nice 26 degrees Celsius, which is about 78 with sunshine. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend. I'll see you later.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Have a great weekend and enjoy all of those fall colors. We'll see you right back here on Monday.